You know, we've heard all kinds of stories from people, whistleblowers, and people with information about how the trafficking industry goes. We've heard people talk about it when it comes to adults, comes to kids, comes to women, all kinds of things. And then when the whistleblower actually chimes in, nothing gets done. Well, we came across a video. It's a little bit older, but then again, this particular information doesn't really have a timeline considering it's still going on. But what this lady espouses is that the particular type of trafficking that happens in within the government. Yeah. And not only within the government, but actually is facilitated by government officials. Now, I know many of us will say, well, we knew that because look at CPS. I understand that we know at least some, and some of you may have even been privy to hearing this lady speak before. We're going to listen to exactly what she has to say, especially in light of what we know now, having gone through a certain type of border issue and also having witnessed quite a few things of information coming out of HHS. Okay, let's listen.
And then my name is Tara Rodas, and thanks to the bravery of Aaron Stevenson, and thanks to Project Veritas and James O'Keefe for publishing the story, I was sitting on the Pomona Fairplex emergency intake site processing unaccompanied children. So you may know that children were coming to this country from other countries. We were taking them into the care, HHS, and then delivering them to sponsors.
Now, we've heard that story before. In fact, we've heard multiple stories of people saying that this is exactly what's been happening, is that the powers that be, let's put it like that, are indeed getting either kickbacks or direct pay for facilitating the trafficking of children. And it's almost as though things are invoked like a border crisis in order to make sure that that particular thing goes under the radar, sometimes to the tune of 2 to almost 500,000 a year.
Unvetted sponsors throughout the United States. So because one whistleblower came forward and because one organization was willing to tell the truth, I was able to then uncover and report that the US government is the middleman in a large-scale, multi-billion-dollar child trafficking operation. We literally have government-sponsored, taxpayer-funded child trafficking.
Surprising? Not really. Nope, not really. Not surprising necessarily, but what it really is awakening. Now, does it explain a whole lot? Not really. It explains one or two things about the missing children that go every year. It explains maybe the amount, and it might, on some level, explain why they're unwilling to fix certain situations like the border. It might explain why they don't want to fix certain things like certain parts of CPS. It also might explain why they give leniency to certain predators that deal with children. Might. What it doesn't do is fix the problem. All the knowledge we have been gaining about what's happening does not stop it.
So one whistleblower coming forward, telling the truth, sets in motion a cascade of things that you could never imagine. So I was very grateful for the opportunity for someone to tell the truth. And who knows, maybe one of you could be the next person to come forward.
Now, hear me out. If the government is indeed, by her own statements, involved on a level that is literally facilitating, now, this is what the accusation is, that they're a middleman for trafficking, it would mean that policies are put in place to not stop the flow across borders, to not vet people who get children, and to not arrest anyone who is caught possibly in the trafficking of kids. Again, it would also explain why it is that there's leniency in the system when it comes to the child being abused, the child reporting, and this goes all the way back to even Amber Alerts. Now, if you all remember, we had a man that came forward telling us his story, Mr. Othello Johnson. And he told us about government corruption. He told us about people within the government, big names. We're not talking about just CPSs in Odessa, California. We're not talking about that. We are talking about large scale governors, mayors, attorney generals, presidents. We're talking big names that were involved in very specific ways of the trafficking of children. Even to the point of putting on false flag events where people were massacred to the tune of 50 plus in order to cover up trafficking. If we were to take what she said she found about the government doing this and link it to what he said he found that happened to his child, then we have to extrapolate that they're both right because they both implicate one entity, that being the government. Now, who better to hide all this if not the government? Who better that can hide records, erase people, take people out, just like they did with Othello's guy, the policeman that was right going to be investigating everything that happened to his son, Yeshua. He ended up being erased. If what she is saying is 100% true and verifiable by what Othello was reporting to us, then there's not much we can really do about it because the whole system really would be rigged against. However, it's not the whole system that's rigged. Otherwise, there would be no way for us to find out about it. The problem here is that not many people are willing to do what is necessary to end it. We'll see if she takes some questions here because I don't know.
Good morning, y'all. My name is.
So she doesn't. I'm going to fast forward and see if she comes back up to mention anything. If not, we can definitely break down more of what she just said. What she's really telling us is this one very important thing. What we witness on a day-to-day basis by the reportings that says this is an Amber Alert here, or these amount of children were found in this location, even to the point of Ohio where they said 10,000 kids were found, or they made a raid and 200 kids were found, and they made another raid of another house and 10 kids were found. If this is on the local level, people finding it, and the macro level of a large-scale government are the ones that are the middlemen trafficking kids, that would explain a lot. If the people getting the kickbacks are on the high end, then Othello's story makes even more sense. Maybe it's the localized people that are trying to get to the bottom of it and not the large-scale government. In Othello's story, it was Obama, Kamala Harris, and I think Mr. Johnson was another one that was dealing with this problem of his child being trafficked. Kamala signed off, Obama helped with it. Mr. Walpin, the judge, got erased off of this planet because of his role in it. So it seems to be that the bigger side of the government is the one that's doing the facilitating and also the extraction and also the cover-up. And the ones that keeps finding it are the smaller local-sized government people. Which tells me that there's not a large-scale corruption going on, but a very powerful small-scale corruption. So it can be handled, it can be fixed, but when you convince many people, just like there are tons of people out there who convince you that you will never get help, they're in the process of helping facilitate the large government traffic more kids. We've been saying this is a problem for forever. When you tell people you can't get any help, the government's in on it, the police are in on it, CPS is in on it, everyone in CPS, so you can't report it. What does that do? It gives people this idea that we can't stop this. It's not going to help. So then what are we supposed to actually do? Nothing. You sit down and take it. But you keep talking about it because it sells. We've been saying for a long time that that does not seem to be the most intelligent approach. Because it can't possibly be that every single entity where the government's involved on small and large, that they all are coordinated so well that nobody's, otherwise there'd be no arrests at all. Just today we heard about a sting operation where they arrested almost 8 people for the abuse of kids. You hear about people getting arrested all the time on local levels. So it must be a federally large issue, but with a very small, tight-knit group of people. Again, going back to Othello's story, it must make sense. If Kevin Johnson, running for mayor in California, wanted a child, and he is friends with Obama, and he reached out to Obama to try and facilitate the procurement of this child, and Obama reaches out to the Attorney General at the time, who is Kamala Harris, and tells her set in motion things in order to do it, and she reaches out to John Walsh to demonize a man, then there is a large scale, on a large government scale, a manipulative process going on, but very few people. Which is why the smaller local police can find and help track down and rescue people. But at the same time, if they risk their life doing that, the small conglomerate of big government will help eradicate them. So she is right. Middleman it is, but on what scale? I think this came up in order for us to regurgitate the story, bring the story back up of Othello, because it's died down enough now. His story should never die down, because it happens to a lot of Americans every single day. But if we can isolate where these problems lie and see who really are the big players, maybe, just maybe, we might be able to find a way to get rid of the big problem and start dealing with what is actually happening and put a dent in it. I do thank her for speaking on it, and I do thank her for giving a springboard to our topic here. But if you or anyone else knows about something going on within either large scale or small scale governments when it comes to the trafficking of children, do not stay silent. Don't listen to the Tory outlaws of the world. Don't listen to the Jaguar rights of the world that tell you there's nothing you can do. They're lying to you. There's tons you can do. You can set your local government to tackle something and eventually make a big break on a large scale government problem. Say something if you see it. Report it when you can. And for the love of all that is holy, please don't think that everybody in government's out to molest and kill children. That's not the case. There are tons of people out there willing to help. But with the belief structure going around that they can do nothing, many people don't try. We need to change that narrative. If you want to put your money where your mouth is, actually run your mouth. Talk, complain, gripe, report, do the hard stuff, and don't stop doing it until you get a result. We do indeed thank her for speaking. And if you guys know of something else going on, please let us know. If you have any information, if you have want to use us as the people to report, do that. We're willing to help in any way we can. But the epidemic of child trafficking is not going to go away with silence. It's only going to go away when we decide to speak up.